In the fragile hour between night and day, when shadows still cling to stone, but light has begun its patient work of revelation, truth waits not in spectacle, but in stillness. Paris, 1897. A city of reason and romance stood poised at a crossroads of belief, and within these walls a mirror would be held to the human soul. On this day, April 19th, men and women of influence gathered, expecting revelation. They came seeking confirmation of darkness proof, that secret societies conspired in candlelit chambers to invert sacred order. They did not know they had been summoned not to witness exposure, but to become participants in an allegory far older than any hoax. To understand the shadow, we must first know the hand that casts it. Gabriel Jogand-Pagès, writer, provocateur, master of masks, learned early that words could build temples or burn them. His pen had already skirmished with church and state. But in this decade of cycle anxiety, he conceived a more dangerous game. Not to attack belief directly, but to feed it until it revealed its own hunger. An age trembling between faith and reason bred a peculiar appetite, hunger for hidden truths. When surface reality felt unstable, the mind sought anchors in conspiracy, not because evidence demanded it, but because the narrative of secret control offered what chaos could not, the illusion of order. Every great deception requires accomplices not always willing, but always necessary. Taxil understood that belief is collaborative. The teller provides the story, the listener provides the longing that gives it life. In this dance of suggestion, truth becomes secondary to resonance. He crafted his fiction with scholarly precision, not random invention, but calculated synthesis. He mined centuries of anti-Masonic literature, extracting symbols, rituals, and accusations like a botanist collecting poisonous plants. His genius lay not in creation, but in curation. He gave fearful minds exactly what they expected to find. Consider the pentagram a symbol of cosmic order since Pythagoras. Upright, it represents spirit ruling matter. Inverted burr, it suggests matter enslaving spirit. But the geometry remains identical. Only perspective changes. So too with ritual. The same gestures, reinterpreted through fear, become diabolical. Through understanding, become instructive. When a narrative aligns with pre-existing fear, verification surrenders to validation. This priest did not seek evidence contradicting Taxil. He sought confirmation of his deepest anxieties. And in that surrender of critical faculty, the hoax achieved its first victory. To comprehend the deception, we must first witness the reality it distorted. For centuries, Masonic lodges have practiced not devil worship, but deliberate allegory. The blindfold represents ignorance, the cable tow, brotherly guidance, the working tools, instruments of moral refinement. Here, ritual serves not to conceal truth, but to reveal it through experience. Taxil's method was elegantly simple. Take symbols of moral aspiration and invert their context. The square representing honesty becomes tool of deception. The compass circumscribing desires becomes instrument of control. He understood that symbols carry no inherent meaning. They are vessels filled by the interpreter's intention. Diana Vaughan never existed. She was ink and imagination, a literary phantom conjured to lend human face to abstract conspiracy. Yet thousands wept for her fictional redemption. They prayed for her safety from Masonic assassins who never hunted her. In this paradox lies the hoax's deepest lesson. We believe not what is true, but what feels true. The most dangerous lies were the mask of victim. By positioning Diana as redeemed sinner, Taxil invoked sacred narrative patterns, the Magdalene archetype. The prodigal's return. He weaponized compassion itself, knowing that to question her story felt like sacrilege. Thus, skepticism became sin, credulity, virtue. Even Rome's corridors of power proved vulnerable. When Taxil's fictions reached the Vatican, they found fertile ground in centuries of Masonic teaching. The 1884 encyclical Humanum Genus had already declared Freemasonry satanic. Taxil merely provided sensational illustrations for conclusions already drawn. Confirmation bias needs no evidence-only echo. The psychology of conspiracy resembles this labyrinth. Each reflection confirms the last. alternative perspectives vanish. The self becomes both prisoner and jailer. Taxil did not create this maze, merely handed fearful souls a map they eagerly followed deeper into its corridors. In these salons of privilege, horror became entertainment. The macabre details of Taxil's fabrications, serpent worship, blood oaths, inverted massos provided thrilling transgression without actual danger. The audience consumed darkness as spectacle, never questioning why such elaborate evil would voluntarily expose itself through memoir. While Paris salons thrilled to fictional devilry, actual lodges pursued mundane virtues, charity, education, brotherhood. The dissonance reveals conspiracies, fundamental flawed mistakes, complexity, for malice. Real power operates not through theatrical evil, but through quiet influence, patient institution building, and the slow work of human betterment. Technology amplified the hoax. Steam-powered presses could manufacture consensus at unprecedented scale. A lie printed 1,000 times gained material weight, paper and ink, becoming proxy for truth. In this mechanical reproduction of falsehood, we glimpse our own digital age's vulnerabilities. As the hoax swelled beyond his control, inspiring genuine violence against Masons, fueling international paranoia, Taxil faced his creation's moral weight. The jester's mask grew heavy. The question arose not whether to confess, but whether truth could ever reclaim ground surrendered to sensationalism. April 19th. Easter Monday, a day of resurrection. Fitting that on this symbol of renewal, a different kind of rising would occur, not of spirit, but of accountability, not of faith, but of reason. The stage was set not for revelation of secret evil, but for exposure of manufactured fear. When he rose to speak, expectation hung thick as incense. They awaited Diana Vaughan's dramatic entrance, the redeemed priestess ready to testify. Instead, they received something rarer in human history: unambiguous accountability. His words fell not as thunderclap, but as quiet stone into still water. Ripples spread slowly through the hall. The elaborate architecture of belief built over 6 years, brick by sensational brick, begun its silent collapse, not with explosion, but with absence. The most painful truth is not that we were deceived, but that we chose deception, that we preferred the drama of hidden evil to the mundane reality of human complexity, that we found comfort in moral certainty even when manufactured. In that moment, journalism fulfilled its highest purpose, not to amplify sensation, but to correct the record. The same presses that had disseminated fiction would now carry confession, the machinery of deception repurposed for redemption. By morning, Paris knew the world would soon follow, but revelation does not automatically heal belief. Wounds inflicted by narrative run deeper than facts can reach. The hoax's legacy would prove more enduring than its architect anticipated. Within Lagos, the response was not vindication but reflection. They recognized that any institution operating in symbolic language would remain vulnerable to misinterpretation. The antidote to distortion could not be secrecy, but greater transparency. Not defensiveness, but deeper education. Have you ever heard a story so wild, so unbelievable, that it just had to be true? Today, we're diving into one of history's most audacious pranks, a grand deception that fooled the highest echelons of society and revealed a startling truth about human belief. This is the story of the Taxil Hoax, a tale of fabricated demons, secret societies, and the man who orchestrated it all. Our story begins in late 19th century France, a time of intense political and religious tension. The Catholic Church and Freemasonry were locked in a bitter struggle for influence. Enter our protagonist, or perhaps our antagonist, Leo Taxil. Born Marie-Joseph Gabriel Antoine Jogand-Pagès. Taxil was a notorious anti-clerical writer, known for his provocative and often scandalous publications attacking the church. But then, something strange happened. In 1885, Taxil announced a dramatic conversion to Catholicism. He publicly repented his past and declared his intention to dedicate his life to defending the faith he once scorned. The church, eager for a high-profile convert, welcomed him with open arms. But this was no ordinary conversion. Taxil claimed he would expose the dark, satanic secrets of Freemasonry, an organization he had once been a part of. He began publishing a series of books and pamphlets that painted a terrifying picture. He wrote of secret Masonic rites involving devil worship, blasphemous rituals, and diabolical pacts. He described a secret inner circle of Freemasonry known as the Palladian Order, a group supposedly dedicated to Luciferianism, with its headquarters in Charleston, South Carolina. Taxil's stories were sensational, detailed, and utterly captivating. He didn't just make vague accusations, he created an entire mythology. He introduced characters like the High Priestess, Diana Vaughan, a supposed descendant of a goddess who had supposedly repented and was now willing to reveal the Palladian Order's secrets. He described Masonic lodges as lairs for demons like Asmodeus and Beelzebub, who would appear to members, play the piano, and even serve them breakfast. He claimed that the leader of the Masons, an American general named Albert Pike, had a magical bracelet that allowed him to communicate directly with Lucifer. The public, and more importantly, the clergy, were horrified and fascinated. Taxil's books became bestsellers. His revelations were cited in sermons and he received official praise from bishops, cardinals, and even had the implicit blessing of Pope Leo XIII, who was a staunch opponent of Freemasonry. For 12 years, Taxil fed this narrative, each new publication more fantastical than the last. He claimed Diana Vaughan was in hiding, protected from the Masons who wanted to silence her. Her memoirs were published, detailing her supposed life as a Satanist high priestess, further fueling the hysteria. Now, let's step back and look at the symbols Taxil was twisting. Freemasonry has always been rich in symbolism, much of it drawn from the craft of stonemasonry, geometry, and ancient philosophy. The square and compasses, for example, represent morality, balance, and reason. The all-seeing eye, often misunderstood, symbolizes the watchfulness of a higher power or the great architect of the universe, and the concept of divine truth. These are tools for moral and intellectual self-improvement. Taxil took these symbols and inverted them. The great architect became Lucifer. The quest for light and knowledge was twisted into a pact with darkness. He masterfully exploited the esoteric and secretive nature of Masonic rituals, filling in the gaps with the public's deepest fears. He understood that a secret society, by its very nature, is a blank canvas onto which any narrative, no matter how outlandish, can be projected. The Masons, bound by their oaths of secrecy, were in a difficult position. Denying Taxil's claims was tricky. How do you disprove a negative, especially when you can't reveal the true, private nature of your ceremonies? Their silence and measured denials were often interpreted as proof of guilt. For 12 years, the world was hooked on this drama. Believers waited eagerly for Diana Vaughan to make a public appearance. The pressure mounted on Taxil to produce his star witness. Finally, on April 19, 1897, Taxil scheduled a conference at the Geographical Society Hall in Paris. He promised that the world would finally see Diana Vaughan. The hall was packed with an expectant crowd of journalists, clergy, and the general public. The moment of truth arrived. But instead of Diana Vaughan, Leo Taxil himself walked onto the stage. He began his speech, but it wasn't the one anyone expected. With a smirk, he announced that the entire affair, all 12 years of it, had been a complete and utter fabrication. Diana Vaughan never existed. The Palladian Order was a figment of his imagination. The demon-worshipping Masons were a caricature he had invented to see how far he could push the boundaries of human credulity. He explained his motive. It was the ultimate prank, a final, grand act of anti-clericalism, designed to embarrass the Church by exposing its gullibility. AAD, proven in his own words, that his lie had been a pathbreaker for the truth. The reaction was immediate chaos. The audience erupted in fury. People shouted, threw things, and rushed the stage. Taxil had to be escorted from the building by police to protect him from the angry mob. The Taxil hoax is more than just a historical prank. It's a profound allegory about the architecture of belief. How could so many people, including intelligent and powerful leaders, be fooled for so long? First, Taxil tapped into a pre-existing bias. The conflict between the Church and Freemasonry created fertile ground. People were ready to believe the worst about their perceived enemies. This is confirmation bias in action. We readily accept information that confirms our existing beliefs and dismiss information that challenges them. Second, He was a master storyteller. He didn't just present facts, he wove a compelling narrative with heroes, villains, and high stakes. Stories are how we make sense of the world, and a good story can be far more persuasive than a dry collection of facts. He used specific, vivid details: the demon playing the piano, Albert Pike's magic bracelet. These details, tugabsut, made the story feel real and tangible. Third, he leveraged the power of authority. When bishops, cardinals, and respected publications endorsed his claims, it gave them a stamp of legitimacy. People thought, if these important figures believe it, it must be true. This is an appeal to authority, a powerful psychological shortcut we all use to navigate a complex world. The legacy of the Taxil hoax is long and complicated. Even after Taxil confessed, some refused to believe him. They claimed he had been forced to recant by the Masons. Echoes of his fabrications persist in conspiracy theories to this day, a testament to the fact that a lie, once it takes root, can be incredibly difficult to kill. The idea of a Luciferian, globalist cabal, often linked to Freemasonry, is a direct descendant of the narrative Taxil invented as a joke. This story serves as a powerful mirror. It reflects our own vulnerability to manufactured narratives. In an age of social media, deepfakes, and rampant misinformation, the Taxil hoax is more relevant than ever. It teaches us the importance of critical thinking, of questioning sources, and of being aware of our own biases. It shows us how isolated symbols can be distorted and weaponized, and how the fear of the unknown can be exploited by those with a specific agenda. The shadows on the wall of Plato's cave are not always cast by accident. Sometimes there is a puppet master, carefully crafting the illusions for their own purposes. Leo Taxil was one such puppet master, and his grand performance revealed less about the secrets of Freemasonry and more about the fragile, often irrational, nature of human belief itself. It is a reminder that the most important quest for light isn't in a secret lodge, but in the diligent, skeptical, and open-minded pursuit of truth. Thanks for joining me on this journey into one of history's greatest deceptions. If you found this story as fascinating as I do, hit that like button and subscribe for more deep dives into the strange and surprising corners of history. Let me know in the comments what you think could a hoax like this happen today. See you next time. Have you ever heard of the Taxil affair? It's one of history's most fascinating hoaxes, a cautionary tale about how easily grand, elaborate lies can take root in the public imagination. In the late 19th century, a writer named Leo Taxil fabricated a massive conspiracy theory about Freemasonry, complete with devil worship and bizarre rituals. People ate it up. Why? Because the story was sensational and it confirmed their deepest fears. It was a perfectly constructed house of lies, built on a foundation of pure fiction. Now, let's contrast that with what Freemasonry actually is. At its core, it's not about secret plots, but about symbol stools for building a better self. Think of the square and compasses. They aren't just emblems. They represent moral principles like fairness, balance, and living within proper bounds. This isn't about some hidden agenda. It's about connecting with timeless truths. You can find these same ideas in sacred geometry, in the perfect proportions of a nautilus shell, or the elegant structure of a snowflake. These are universal patterns, blueprints for order and harmony that exist all around us, and insidious. So, how do we tell the difference between a constructed lie and an authentic truth? The Taxil hoax eventually collapsed under its own weight, because it was all spectacle, with no substance. Authentic symbolism, however, points beyond itself to something real and enduring. It encourages us to be better people, to improve ourselves and our communities. The ultimate answer to deception isn't to fight lies with more anger, but to live transparently. It's about service, charity, and contributing positively to the world. When your actions are dedicated to building up, not tearing down, you become a living rebuttal to any conspiracy. You embody the very principles the symbols are meant to teach. That's the real secret. A hidden truth, but an open one, available to anyone willing to look. Thanks for watching. The square's arms became dual commitments: justice toward neighbor, integrity toward conscience, not abstract ideals but measurable standards. Just as Mason checks stone against square, we check action against principle. The tool demands verification, not faith. From Giza to Manhattan, humanity builds by square, not because geometry imposes limitation, but because it enables aspiration. The square does not confine imagination. It gives it stable platform from which to rise. So too with ethics. Boundaries do not restrict virtue. They make its expression possible. Without frame, no canvas. Without form, no beauty. Where the square teaches rectitude, the compass teaches circumscription, not repression, but direction. The circle does not deny the point's potential, it channels. Italiano, human desires, unchecked, scatter. Like unguided lines, circumscribed by conscience, they become creative force. This is ritual's true purpose. Not to eliminate passion, but to give it sacred boundary within which to flourish. Circumscription appears across wisdom traditions. The Zen garden's circles do not imprison the stone, they honor its centrality. The mandala's boundaries do not restrict deity. They create sacred space for encounter. So too with moral discipline. Boundaries exist, not to punish freedom, but to cultivate conditions where true freedom from chaos can emerge. The compass teaches what modern psychology confirms: identity requires stable center. Without fixed point of principle, actions become erratic wide swings of reaction rather than intentional movement. Circumscription is not about drawing smaller circles, but about strengthening the center point from which all motion originates. Plato recognized these 5 perfect solids as universe's building blocks. Why only 5? Because geometric law permits no others. Similarly, virtue operates within natural law, not arbitrary commandments, but principles discoverable through reason. Honesty, compassion, courage, these are not cultural inventions. They are moral geometries as fundamental as crystalline structure. The alchemist sought not to transmute, led to gold, but to understand matter's underlying order. His geometric models were hypotheses about cosmic harmony. Modern chemistry vindicated his intuition. Molecular structures obey geometric law. So too with ethics. Beneath cultural variation, moral principles exhibit geometric consistency. The square remains square across continents. Pythagoras discovered musical intervals correspond to simple ratios octave dos, 1/5, 3, 2, 2. Harmony is mathematics made audible. Dissonance, ratio violated, so too with human relations. When interactions honor proportional respect, neither dominance nor submission, harmony emerges. The square and compass teach this musically. Right relationship creates resonance. The Ashlar's journey mirrors moral development. Rough stone enters with jagged, edgy, selfish impulses, reactive habits, unexamined prejudices. Through deliberate application of working tools, square for honesty, gauge for self-assessment, mallet for disciplined effort, it becomes smooth. Not through erasure of essence, but refinement of expression. The perfect ashlar is not flawless. Marbellet is stone that has found its purpose within larger structure. So too with character. Perfection is not absence of flaw, but alignment with purpose. The jagged edge that once caused harm becomes, when properly oriented, interlocking strength within community's architecture. Ritual's power lies in this tactile encounter. No lecture conveys what stone teaches through touch. The rough ashlar's abrasiveness against palm, this is unrefined character's effect on others. The perfect ashlar's smoothness, this is virtue's gentle strength. Knowledge becomes wisdom when it passes through the body. No single stone builds cathedral. Each block shaped by individual mason finds meaning only in relation to whole. The perfect ashlar's virtue is not self-contained excellence, but its capacity to join others in creating something transcending individual capacity. This is brotherhood's geometric truth. We rise together or not at all. The human body itself embodies sacred geometry. From phalange ratios to facial symmetry, we carry cosmic proportion within our flesh. This is not accidented, is evolutionary attunement to harmonic principles. When we shape character by geometric virtue, we align not with arbitrary rule, but with our own deepest architecture. The Renaissance rediscovered what operative Masons always knew. Beauty arises from structural truth. Michelangelo did not impose ideal form on marble, he revealed the form already present within stone's geometry. So too with moral development, virtue is not for an imposition, but uncovering of innate capacity for harmony already latent within human nature. Across cultures separated by oceans and epics, textile artisans independently discovered identical geometric principles. Why? Because harmony is not cultural invention, it is perceptual necessity. The eye rejects dissonant proportion, the soul rejects moral dissonance. Both seek alignment with deeper order. The two pillars Boaz and Yakin frame not a doorway to secret chamber, but a pathway of balanced living. One represents strength in material world, the other, beauty in spiritual aspiration. Wisdom lies not in rejecting either, but in maintaining tension between them, like arch that stands only through balanced opposing forces. The catenary arch teaches nature's wisdom. When form follows function, strength emerges effortlessly. No mortar required only precise alignment to gravitational law. So too with moral architecture. When character aligns with natural law of reciprocity and compassion, resilience emerges without strain. Virtue is not forced, it is discovered geometry of human flourishing. Roman engineers understood. Arches fail not from weak stone, but from misaligned voussoirs. Each wedge-shaped block must transmit load precisely to neighbors. So too with community. Resilience depends not on individual strength alone, but on precise alignment of mutual obligation. The square ensures each block bears its share. The level ensures shared burden. The level teaches equality not of capacity but of dignity. The bubble centers not because all stones are identical, but because the instrument measures against universal horizon. So too with human worth, we stand equal not in talent or fortune, but in inherent dignity measured against horizon of shared humanity. This is democracy's geometric foundation. Early American Freemasons embedded geometric principles into nascent democracy. The level became not just tool but constitutional ideal. Not equality of outcome, but equality of voice. Not erasure of distinction, but affirmation of shared standing before law. This subtle distinction separates true equality from enforced uniformity. The level appears in justice iconography across millennia because fairness is geometric principle. Tilt the plane, and objects roll toward advantage. True justice requires horizontal plane impartial standard against which all cases measured equally, not compassion's absence, but its disciplined application without favoritism. These tools are not and they are entrusted, passed hand to hand across generations. They accumulate not monetary value, but pedagogical weight. Each brother adds his understanding to their meaning. The square he used to check his honesty becomes tool his son will use to check his own. This is tradition's true mechanism, not rigid preservation, but living transmission. The gauge teaches what modern psychology calls metacognition, the capacity to measure one's own thoughts against standards. Not self-flagellation, but honest inventory. How aligned are my actions with my stated values? Where do I fall short not to induce shame, but to identify growth edge? The gauge is compassion's instrument, precise measurement, enabling precise improvement. The gauge appears beyond Western tradition. In tea ceremonies, precise movements. In calligraphy's measured strokes. In martial arts, calibrated force, we see same principle, excellence through conscious measurement. Not rigidity, but freedom within form. The master is not constrained by rules, he is liberated by their precision. Growth without geometric principle becomes cancer uncontrolled proliferation destroying host. Growth aligned to principle becomes flower, forest, city complexity, serving coherence. Moral development follows, same law. Virtues must grow in balanced proportion. Courage without compassion becomes brutality. Compassion without courage becomes sentimentality. The square ensures right angles between capacities. The perambulation is not random. Wandering it is geometric progression. 3 circuits, 3 stages, 3 pillars. Not repetition, but spiral ascent. Each return to starting point occurs at higher elevation of understanding. This is how wisdom accumulates. Not linear accumulation, but cyclical deepening with each revolution. The spiral teaches humility. Each ascent reveals new horizons of ignorance. Mastery is not arrival at summit, but recognition that every peak reveals higher mountains. This prevents arrogance of belief that one has arrived. True wisdom knows itself always apprenticed to greater truths waiting discovery. Euclid's geometry demonstrated truth's cumulative nature, each proposition built on prior with logical necessity. No leaps of faithfully verifiable steps. Moral reasoning aspires to similar rigor. Not because I say so, but because compassion logically extends from recognition of shared suffering. The square demands this. Logical integrity in ethics. Symbols are not secret codes. They are humanity's shared vocabulary for inexpressible truths. Different cultures develop distinct dialects, but all speak same geometric language. The circle means wholeness everywhere. The square means stability everywhere. This universality confirms not conspiracy, but common human encounter with cosmic order. When we look beneath symbolic surface to ethical core, conspiracy dissolves into kinship. The square's demand for honesty appears in Confucius' reciprocity, Jesus' golden rule. Kant's categorical imperative, not because secret society engineered it, but because geometric truth of right relationship is discoverable by any sincere seeker. The Vesica Pisesta, womb of geometry, teaches that new forms emerge from intersection, not isolation, but relationship. The self alone generates only repetition. Self intersecting with other through dialogue, challenge, love generates novelty. This is why lodges gather, not to reinforce existing beliefs, but to allow collision that births higher understanding. The lodge is not echo chamber, it is collision chamber. Brothers intentionally hold diverse views because friction generates light. The square ensures disagreement remains respectful. The compass circumscribes debate within bounds of brotherhood. From this tension-like Vesica Pisces emerges understanding neither party possessed alone. Socratic method is geometry of mind, exposing crooked thinking through precise questioning until mental structures stand square. Not imposing truth, but removing obstacles to its discovery. This is ritual's authentic purpose, not programming belief, but clearing ground for personal revelation. The mirror teaches what ritual makes experiential. We contain within ourselves the geometry we seek externally, the square's rectitude, the circle's wholeness. They are not foreign ideals to import, but native capacities to awaken. Initiation is not receiving secret, but recognizing what was always present, waiting activation. Ancient initiatory traditions understood. Transformation requires embodied experience. Lectures inform mind, ritual transforms identity. Not through magic, but through carefully designed psychological journey that bypasses intellectual resistance to touch deeper self. The working tools are not magical, once they are psychological levers. Ritual is humanity's technology for making abstract truth tangible. The gesture of offering, the posture of reverence, the sequence of symbolic actions, these bypass conceptual mind to imprint meaning on soul. Not superstition, but sophisticated pedagogy, developed across millennia because it works. The body remembers what mind forgets. The volume of sacred law is not doctrinal, tested as architectural principle. No building rises without foundation. No moral action stands without ethical grounding. Which foundation text one uses matters less than recognition that action requires grounding. This is tolerance's geometric basis. Different foundations can support same upright structure. The triangle teaches resolution of opposites. Square represents earthly stability. Circle, heavenly perfection. Triangle synthesizes both, pointing upward while grounded in base. So too with human condition. We are neither purely material nor purely spiritual, but triangulated beings capable of bridging realms through conscious choice. Leonardo sought not magical power in geometry brute. Understanding of creation's grammar, his polyhedral studies were love letters to cosmic order. Modern physics vindicates him. Quantum fields, space-time curvature, all expressed through geometry. The universe is not just described by mathematics. It is mathematics made manifest. To study geometry is to read Creator's mind. Contemporary physics confirms ancient intuition. Reality's substrate is geometric, what Pythagoras sensed intuitively, quantum theory verifies mathematically. This does not make geometry magic, it makes it fundamental. And if physical reality obeys geometric law, why would moral reality operate differently? Both emerge from same source. The moment of true initiation arrives, not with dramatic revelation, but quiet recognition. There are no secrets to possess, only principles to practice. The square and compass are not keys to hidden chamber, but instruments for building character's temple. This realization liberates. The work is not decoding mystery, but applying wisdom. The temple we build is not of stone at ease of self. Each virtuous action lays another stone. Each honest choice strengthens a wall. Each compassionate gesture raises the dome. And when this inner temple stands complete, not perfect, but true, it requires no hidden chambers. Its beauty is visible to all who approach with eyes to see. Our ancestors built not for utility alone, they built to align human scale with cosmic order. Stonehenge's geometry connects earthly stone to celestial motion. This is architecture's highest purpose, not shelter alone, but orientation. To build is to declare our place within larger pattern. The lodge continues this ancient work, not with stones, but with souls. The circle is geometry's most profound form. No beginning, no end, no hierarchy. Every point equidistant from center. In this formation, brothers enact what geometry teaches. True community requires neither domination nor submission, but mutual recognition of equal standing within shared purpose. The circle does not erase individuality, it harmonizes it. The circle teaches integration. We are not unified beings, we are constellations of capacities, often pulling in different directions. Wisdom is not eliminating parts, but harmonizing them. Reason without emotion becomes cold calculation. Emotion without reason becomes chaos. The circle holds all within boundary of wholeness. This is ritual made visible not in lodge's candlelight, but in community's daylight. The working tools leave apron pockets to shape actual world. Square ensures play structures stand safe. Leveling shores surfaces fair for all children. Compass circumscribes project within community needs. Symbolism becomes service. Geometry is not esoteric knowledge. Reserved for adepts, it is native language of creation, humming beneath daily life. The baker knows dough rises best with scored vents. The gardener knows plants thrive in spiral arrangements. We carry geometric wisdom in our hands before our minds name it. Ritual merely makes conscious what hands already know. The liberal arts tradition recognized geometry and ethics as twin disciplines. Both train mind in precision, both demand patience with complexity. Both reward disciplined practice with moments of clarity. To study one is to strengthen capacity for the other. The square measures both stone and soul because both obey same law of right relationship. White light contains all colors in perfect proportion. Separates team and each becomes partial truth. Reunite them and wholeness emerges. So too with virtues. Isolate courage without compassion and it becomes brutality. Isolate compassion without courage and it becomes enabling. Wisdom integrates all hues into coherent illuminational, like that heals rather than burns. The highest ritual occurs without ritual, when brotherhood transcends lodge walls to become simple human presence. When square's honesty becomes listening without judgment. When compass' circumscription becomes respecting another S. Journey then symbolism achieves its purpose, not to distinguish initiates from profane, but to equip servants for world's work. Perspective is geometry's gift. From valley floor, chaos rains rocks. Scattered randomly, paths unclear. From summit, pattern emerges, every stone in place, every path purposeful. Moral development is ascent to perspective where apparent chaos reveals underlying order, not because order was imposed, but because our vision matured to perceive it. The all-seeing eye is not about divine surveillance, it is about human awakening. The capstone represents consciousness completing pyramid of development. When eye opens within us, we see not with suspicion, but with discernment, not seeking hidden conspiracies, but perceiving interconnectedness. This is providence, not external control, but internal alignment with cosmic order. The square on carpenter's bench, the circle of family table, the level of fair dealing. These are not symbols to decode, but principles to embody. An embodiment requires no initiation, only intention. The work continues not in candlelit chambers, but on rain-slicked streets, not in secret signs, but in open hands. The geometry of virtue finds its ultimate expression, not in perfect ritual performance, but in imperfect, compassionate action. The rough ashlar of our character meets world's rough edges and, through friction, both are smoothed. The square's meaning isn't in books about squares, but in moments of choosing honesty when deception would be easier. The compass's power isn't in diagrams, but in choosing restraint when indulgence beckons. Source precedes, symbol geometry transmits, not through dogma, but through open hearts, sharing hard-won wisdom. The most powerful ritual is intergenerational transmission of integrity. The river teaches geometry of persistence. Surface ripples conspiracies, scandals, sensational claims distort reflection momentarily. But deep current continues unaffected. Truth flows not through viral sensation, but through steady current of verified experience, cross-checked observation, patient reason. The hoax and the ritual are not opposites, they are a complementary curriculum. Taxil teaches what happens when symbols are weaponized for deception. Masonry teaches what happens when symbols are wielded for construction. Both are necessary lessons. To study only one is to develop partial immunity. Wisdom integrates both. Discernment to reject falsehood, and vision to recognize truth. Geometry teaches humility. Every dimension contains infinite complexity. Master the square, and the cube awaits. Master the cube, and higher dimensions beckon. There is no final mastery, only perpetual apprenticeship to ever-deepening understanding of right relationship. The temple's orientation is not arbitrary, it is. East represents source of light. Orihin of Ope, direction of renewal. To enter from Westrom of shadows is to move toward illumination. This is not superstition, but architectural storytelling. Every detail teaches without words. Seek light, move toward dawn, build toward sunrise. In stillness, geometry reveals itself, not through dramatic revelation, but through quiet reflection. The flame's perfect point, the circle's unbroken curve, the square's unwavering angle. These are not secrets to possess, they are realities to perceive. And perception requires not special knowledge, but cultivated stillness. From quantum foam to cosmic web, geometry reigns, not imposed by external designer, but emergent property of existence itself. To align character with geometric virtue is not to obey arbitrary command, it is to harmonize with universe's deepest grammar. The square is not human invention, it is cosmic principle made available to human practice. The obligation is not oath to secret society, but commitment to geometric living, to square one's actions with honesty, to circumscribe desires with compassion, to level judgments with fairness. This is not mystical pledge, but practical commitment to architecture of character. The tools are provided. The work remains ours. The seed contains the tree not as miniature replica, but as geometric potential. So too with initiation, the candidate contains master not as current reality, but as developmental potential. The ritual does not implant foreign essence. It awakens native capacity already present, waiting conditions for expression. This is hope's geometry. Within every rough ashlar sleeps perfect ashlar. Nature requires no architect, geometry emerges spontaneously when conditions align. So too with virtue. When environment supports development, community that values honesty, challenges that demand courage, relationships that require compassion, character unfolds according to its native geometry. The lodge is not factory imposing form, but greenhouse providing conditions for natural unfolding. Darkness is not enemy to be but necessary condition for light's appreciation. Without shadow, no contrast. Without ignorance, no wisdom. The ritual embraces both. Descent into symbolic darkness, emergence into hard-won light. Not triumph over night, but partnership with it. For dawn's beauty depends on night's depth. The square's rectitude requires shadow to define its edges. The compass's circle requires center point to give it meaning. Virtue is not elimination of shadow, but right relationship with it. Courage contains seed of fear without fear. No courage possible. The shore teaches geometry of patterns form dissolve. Reform never identical. Always beautiful. So too with moral development. No permanent plateau of virtue, only perpetual practice of right relationship. Yesterday's square action does not exempt today's choice. Each moment offers fresh opportunity to align with geometric principle. This is not burden, but freedom. But the geometry continuous in choices made on commute home, impatience with family, in integrity at work tomorrow. The lodge is not destination, but training ground. The world is where geometry proves its worth. The true lodge has no walls. It is wherever humans choose honesty over deception, compassion over indifference, courage over comfort. These choices unrecorded by history, unseen by crowds-formed civilizations, actual architecture. Not monuments of stone, but moments of grace. Not secret societies, but open hearts building world one square action at a time. Civilization is not built by grand conspiracies, but by quiet geometries of daily virtue. Each honest transaction strengthens social fabric. Each compassionate act reinforces communal bonds. Each courageous stand upholds justice. These micro-architectures accumulate and seen by historians, uncelebrated by crowds until one day we awaken to find civilization standing, not by accident, but by accumulated geometry of countless square actions. We return to where we began, not with answers to conspiracy, but with appreciation for geometry's quiet work. The shadows that once seemed to hide secrets now reveal only the play of light on honest stone. The buildings that once seemed to conceal mysteries now stand open to sky-inviting inspection, welcoming light. This is enlightenment's true meaning. Not possession of secret knowledge, but capacity to see ordinary reality with extraordinary clarity. This hall witnessed not just hoax's exposure, but humanity's capacity for course correction. The same room that amplified deception later amplified truth. This is hope's geometry. Spaces are not permanently stained by falsehood, but available for redemption. Every chamber that is echoed with lies can later resonate with truth if we have courage to speak it. From Taxil's ashes rose, unexpected gift, heightened immunity to deception. Institutions subjected to false accusation often emerge stronger if they respond with transparency rather than defensiveness. The phoenix does not deny fire. It transforms through it. So too with truth. Tested by falsehood, it emerges not diminished, but distilled. The proper response to dangerous ideas is not suppression, but contextualization. Place hoax beside truth on same shelf. Teach readers to compare, contrast, verify. This is democracy's geometry. Not protected ignorance, but fortified discernment. The library becomes lodge of public reason where all may learn to measure claims against square of evidence. The ultimate redemption of Taxil's hoax lies in its pedagogical power. When taught not as sensational history, but as case study in critical thinking, it becomes vaccine against contemporary misinformation. The same narrative that once deceived now inoculates if we have wisdom to repurpose pain into protection. The key to any lock must match its mechanism precisely. So too with understanding. Generic skepticism unlocks nothing. Specific knowledge of history, symbolism, psychology provides exact fit needed to open doors of discernment. But the room beyond contains no secret treasure. Only garden of human flourishing available to all who learn to see clearly. This is ritual made. Visible not in candlelit chambers, but in sunlit soil. The square ensures plants stand true for optimal growth. The compass circumscribes garden within community needs. The level ensures fair distribution of harvest. Symbolism achieves its purpose not when decoded, but when applied to nourish hungry bodies and souls. The sacred is not confined to ceremonial moments. It permeates preparation, the care with which tools are polished, chairs arranged, space purified. This is where geometry takes root, not in dramatic gestures, but in humble attention to detail. The master is not defined by ritual performance, but by preparatory devotion. Geometry is not external principle to import, it is internal rhythm to recognize. Our breath follows golden ratio, our heartbeat echoes Fibonacci sequence. We are walking embodiments of cosmic proportion. To practice geometric virtue is not to impose foreign order, but to align conscious choices with native harmony already pulsing within our flesh. The compass's ultimate purpose is not to find north, but to find north within. When external signs fail us, they inevitably do. We rely on internal orientation, not gut feeling, but principled discernment. Which choice aligns with square of honesty? Which honors level of fairness? The tool becomes metaphor when we carry its lesson in our bones. The highest geometry requires no symbols. In grief's raw presence, square and compass become irrelevant. Only circle of human connection matters, unbroken, unadorned, unconditional. This is ritual's ultimate lesson. Symbols are training wheels. When crisis comes, we ride on. Love alone, and love needs no geometric proof. It is self-evident truth. The point within circle teaches centeredness. Not ego at center, but principle. When conscience occupies center point, life's circle expands harmoniously. When fear or desire occupies center, circle distorts, boundaries become rigid or porous. This is discernment's geometry, constantly checking which force occupies our center and gently returning principle to its rightful place. Symbols are bridges, not destinations. The leaf does not cling to bridges, carved symbols. It passes beneath them toward larger journey. So too with ritual. Its purpose is not to trap us in symbolic world, but to equip us for passage through life's currents. The square and compass are not ends to possess, but tools to use while traveling toward horizons beyond their making. In stillness, boundaries dissolve. Lodge becomes cosmos. Ritual becomes universal law. Self becomes participant in cosmic geometry. Not through mystical transport, but through recognition. The same principles governing galaxy spirals also guide moral choices. We are not separate from cosmic order, we are its conscious expression. And in that recognition lies peace that surpasses understanding. Not secret knowledge, but homecoming. The dawn does not arrive as invasion, it arrives as invitation. Light does not battle darkness, it simply arrives, and darkness yields by nature's law. So too with enlightenment. Not violent overthrow of ignorance, but patient permeation of understanding until shadows retreat, not by force, but by This is the light. Freemasonry seeks not it inflamed a horde, but dawn to share. In these salons of enlightenment, Masonry found its true purpose. Not secret society plotting revolution, but open forum cultivating ideas that would reshape continents. Franklin carried no hidden doctrines across Atlantic, only conviction that reason, applied to human affairs, could build societies more just than any monarchy. The secret was no secret at all. It was audacious hope in human capacity for self-governance. Enlightenment is not lightning, strike it as sunrise. Not sudden possession of secret knowledge, but gradual capacity to see what was always present. The chamber contained no hidden treasure, only ordinary stone made extraordinary light's patient arrival. So too with consciousness. Wisdom does not implant foreign truth. It removes scales, obscuring native perception. The Constitution's architecture bears Masonic fingerprints, not hidden symbols, but explicit principles. Religious tolerance as non-negotiable foundation. Civic virtue as structural necessity. Education as liberty's guardian. These were not occult secrets smuggled into text. They were Enlightenment ideals, openly debated, consciously embedded. The light shone in plain sight for all to examine. Enlightenment architecture declares its purpose openly. No hidden chambers, only spaces, designed to elevate human spirit through proportion, light, and accessibility. The dome does not conceal mysteries. It gathers sky's light to illuminate shared inquiry. This is Masonry's true legacy. Not secret temples, but public institutions embodying faith in reason's power to build just societies. The Master's first duty is disillusioned, not crushing hope, but redirecting it from external secrets to internal capacities. The candidate arrives, seeking hidden knowledge. He departs understanding. The only mystery is human potential itself, and this mystery solves not through decoding, but through living. The ultimate initiation reveals no hidden chamber behind veil, only recognition that veil was illusion all along. The light we seek externally already burns within. Ritual's purpose is not to bestow this light, but to polish the mirror until we recognize our own radiance. This is not mysticism, it is psychology made sacred. Voltaire's Masonic conviction was not secret doctrinite, was radical tolerance. Not all religions are sane, but all consciences deserve protection. He understood. When state enforces belief, tyranny follows. When conscience is free, truth emerges through open contests of ideas. This was Enlightenment's dangerous secret. Not hidden knowledge, but inconvenient principle that power must yield to conscience. Masonic lodges became sanctuaries not because they possessed secret power, but because they practiced radical hospitality in ages when difference meant danger. Brothers declared, "Your conscience is your own. Your faith is between you and your God. Here, we judge not doctrine, but character." This was not theological innovation, it was moral courage made manifest. Tolerance is not indifference, it is active engagement with difference that strengthens rather than threatens identity. The square ensures our foundations remain distinct. The compass circumscribes dialogue within respect. The level affirms equal dignity despite divergence. This is not relativism. It is geometric recognition that different foundations can support same upright structure of human decency. Enlightenment's highest achievement is not uniform belief, but harmonious coexistence of difference. Like prism recombining spectrum, society can honor distinct traditions while affirming shared humanity. The light is one, the refractions many. To demand single color is tyranny. To celebrate spectrum within unity is wisdom. The most revolutionary Masonic act was not secret ritual, but public schoolhouse, not because education transmits, but because it cultivates capacity for independent judgment. An educated populace cannot be long enslaved not by monarchs, nor by demagogues, nor by conspiracy theories. This is why tyrants fear schools. Light is antidote to control. From Franklin's Academy to modern scholarships, Masonic philanthropy prioritized education not as charity, but as justice. Not creating dependency, but cultivating agency. The ultimate relief is not feeding hungry once, but teaching to grow food forever. This is Enlightenment's practical expression, equipping others to find their own light. True charity seeks no recognition. The gavel falls, business continues. No applause for donor-only shared satisfaction in work accomplished. This is relief's geometry. Not transaction creating debtor-creditor, but investment in human potential that compounds across generations. The square ensures aid given with dignity. The level ensures recipient stands equal, not diminished. The charitable act is seed dispersal. We cannot control where seed lands, only ensure it carries full genetic potential. Some seeds perish, some flourish in unexpected places. Our duty ends at release, not harvest. This is relief's wisdom. Give without attachment to outcome. The square measures our intention. The compass circumscribes our responsibility. The harvest belongs to life itself. In crisis, symbols vanish. Aprons stay in lockers. Titles dissolve. Only human hands remain clearing rubble, distributing supplies, holding space for grief. This is brotherhood's ultimate test. Not ritual perfection, but showing up when needed. The compass's circle expands to include all The square ensures aid distributed without favoritism. The level affirms equal dignity of helper and helped. The final obligation is presence at life's thresholds, not with answers, but with willingness to dwell in mystery. not with dogma, but with hand to hold. This is where all symbols fall. A way leaving only love's raw geometry. 2 points connected by attention. The square ensures honesty about mortality. The compass circumscribes our limited power. The level affirms equal vulnerability before death's horizon. The horizon humbles all pretension. King and beggar share same vanishing point. Before life's ultimate horizon mortality, we stand level. Not an outcome, but infinitude. This is death's gift. Stripping away illusion of permanence, revealing what truly matters, how we treated others while light remained. The level teaches this daily. Measure actions against horizon of shared humanity. Redemption is geometry made flesh. The rough ashlar of criminal past, shaped by tools of accountability, education, compassion, not erasing history, but integrating it into stronger structure. This brother's square is hard-won, forged in consequences, tempered by grace. His testimony carries weight. No lecture possesses lived proof that transformation is possible when tools are applied with patience. The circle restores what crime fractures. Relationship, not retributive justice, for I boot restorative justice. Harm acknowledged, amends made, community healed. This is the compass, S highest application, circumscribing harm within boundary of accountability while leaving space for redemption. The square ensures honesty about damage. The level affirms equal humanity of all involved. The lodge's sacred space is not for perfect people, but for honest ones. The square's weight is precisely this: commitment to truth, even when truth shames us. To admit failure within circle of trust is not weakness, it is courage's geometry. The compass circumscribes shame within boundary of acceptance. The level affirms your struggle does not diminish your standing among us. Kintsugi teaches, breakage is not end, it is transformation. The bowl's history of fracture becomes its beauty. So too, with character, our cracks, failures, regrets, wounds when repaired with gold of hard-won wisdom, become sources of strength. The rough ashlar's jagged edges, when consciously integrated, create interlocking strength no smooth stone possesses. This is moral development's alchemy, not erasing shadow, but gilding it with grace. Enlightenment's highest virtue was intellectual humility, though willingness to revise belief when evidence demands it. Not weakness, but strength. Johnson knew, truth is larger than any single mind. To cling to error out of pride is to choose comfort over growth. The square demands this honesty. Measure belief against evidence, not ego. When measurement reveals misalignment, adjust. Science and Masonry shared enlightenment DNA. Faith and reasons, power to discern truth. Through observation, measurement, verification, not revelation from authority, but discovery through disciplined inquiry. The square measured celestial motions. The compass circumscribed hypotheses within evidence. The level ensured all theories, judged by same standard. This methodology, open to scrutiny, revisable by evidence, became civilization's most powerful tool. The scientific method is ritual made secular. Hypothesis tested against reality. Results shared openly. Errors corrected publicly. This is enlightenment's engine, self-correcting through transparency. Contrast with conspiracy thinking. Evidence contradicting belief is dismissed as deep state fabrication. The square's honesty demands we measure belief against world, not world against belief. Falsehoods swing wildly, amplified by echo chambers, uncorrected by scrutiny. Truth, exposed to open inquiry, self-corrects toward equilibrium. Not perfectly, but progressively. This is why Enlightenment institutions prioritize transparency. Sunlight disinfects error. The lodge that welcomes scrutiny grows stronger. The conspiracy that demands secrecy collapses under its own weight. Taxil's true gift was not exposure of Masonry, but mirror held to human psychology. His hoax succeeded because we wanted it to succeed. We craved a narrative of hidden evil, because it simplified moral complexity. The confession's power lies not in shaming believers, but in inviting us to examine why we believed. This is Enlightenment's difficult path. not blaming deceivers, but understanding our complicity in deception. The hoax's redemption is pedagogical. When studied as case study in critical thinking, it inoculates against modern misinformation, not by shaming past believers, but by cultivating awareness of our vulnerabilities, need for belonging, hunger for meaning, desire for moral certainty. Enlightenment begins, not with perfect rationality, but with honest recognition of our irrationalities. Enlightenment is not sudden arrival at mountaintop vista. It is lantern lights in fog revealing only next step, not entire journey. We walk not by seeing destination, but by trusting each illuminated step leads toward dawn. This requires courage to move forward without guarantee, guided only by small circle of verified truth. The square ensures each step is honest. The compass circumscribes journey within capacity. The level affirms all travelers share this uncertainty. Brotherhood is not abstract. Principle it is English lesson on Tuesday evenings, not Grand Hester, but showing up consistently. Not erasing difference, but building bridge across it. The square ensures honesty about cultural gaps. The compass circumscribes relationship within respect. The level affirms your journey to this country carries dignity equal to my ancestors' journey. Freemasonry's global presence is not conspiracy of control, but network of localized compassion. Each lodge expresses universal principles through cultural lens, never imposing uniformity, always honoring context. This is Brotherhood's geometry, circle expanding to include without erase. The center point remains constant commitment to human dignity while circumference adapts to local needs. The chain of union's power is not in agreement, but in connection despite difference. Modern society fractures over disagreement, algorithmic silos amplifying division. The lodge practices countercultural skill, holding tension of opposing views without rupture. The square ensures disagreement remains respectful. The compass circumscribes debate within Brotherhood's boundary. The level affirms your conscience deserves hearing, even when I disagree. True community is not melding pot erasing difference, but mosaic honoring distinct pieces within unified design. The square contributes stability. The circle, inclusivity. The triangle, aspiration. Remove any shape, and structure weakens. This is Brotherhood's wisdom. We need your difference to be whole, not despite diversity, but because of it. Wisdom integrates shadow with light. To study only Masonic principles is to develop partial immunitide vaccine without exposure to weakened virus. To study only hoaxes is to cultivate cynicism without vision. True discernment requires both capacity to recognize deception and capacity to recognize truth. Taxil and Anderson are not opposites. They are complementary teachers in single curriculum of critical consciousness. The ultimate antidote to conspiracy is daylight transparency. Not trust us, but examine us. Not hiding symbols, but explaining their pedagogical purpose. When child asks about skull imagery, brother explains, memento mori, not worship of death, but reminder to live meaningfully. No mystery only, meaning made accessible. This is enlightenment's courage. Inviting scrutiny because truth fears no examination. The initiate expects revelation of hidden reality. The master knows reality was never hidden, only our perception obscured. Ritual's purpose is not to transport to secret dimension, but to clear lens of perception until ordinary world reveals its extraordinary depth. The square polishes lens with honesty. The compass aligns focus with principle. The level ensures perspective remains grounded in shared reality. Moral development resembles artistic creation. Not executing pre-drawn blueprint, but disciplined engagement with life's medium relationships, choices, consequences until coherence emerges from chaos. The square provides compositional structure. The compass circumscribes creative freedom within integrity. The level ensures work remains accessible to human experience. Mastery is not rigid control, but responsive dialogue with medium. Virtue is skill cultivated through practice, not innate gift bestowed at initiation. The square's honesty requires daily calibration against experience. The compass's restraint demands moment-by-moment choice. The level's fairness asks constant self-examination. No ritual confers these capacities, only lifelong apprenticeship to their demands. This is initiation's true meaning, not arrival at mastery, but commitment to perpetual practice. The master is not defined by dramatic, ritual performance, but by humble attention to preparation, polishing tools when hands ache, arriving early to set chairs straight, listening fully when younger brother speaks. These uncelebrated acts form true curriculum more eloquent than any lecture. The square is not symbol on wall. It is straightness of chairs arranged with care. The compass is not emblem on apron. It is circular path of service walked daily. Character is not forged in single dramatic trial, but smoothed by persistent contact with life's current relationships that challenge us, work that demands integrity, suffering that teaches compassion. The rough ashlar does not become perfect through hammer blow, but through patient tumbling in river of experience. The square ensures current flows true. The compass circumscribes stone within life-giving flow. The level affirms. All stones undergo this smoothing. The highest teaching occurs without lecture. The elder's instruction take only what can be spared. Encodes entire philosophy, sustainability, restraint, intergenerational responsibility. The child absorbs not abstract principle, but embodied practice. This is how virtue transmits, not through dogma, but through modeling. The square is not discussed. It is demonstrated in careful harvest. At life's thresholds, all symbols fall away. No square to measure, no compass to guide only. Hand to hold, breath to share. This is where philosophy meets flesh. Not in abstract debate, but in willingness to dwell with mortality. The ultimate level is death's horizon before which all stand equal. The ultimate square is honesty about finitude. The ultimate compass is circumscribing our brief light within infinite darkness and choosing to shine anyway. Enlightenment is not single sun banishing all night. It is countless candles lit one by one. Each small light seems insignificant against vast darkness, but when joined without coordination, without command, they create dawn. Your candle matters, not because it eliminates darkness, but because it illuminates one small space where others may find their way. This is service's geometry. Light shared multiplies. Light hoarded extinguishes. The work continues, not in candlelit chambers, but on rain-slicked streets, not in secret signs, but in open hands. The geometry of virtue finds ultimate expression not in perfect ritual performance, but in imperfect, compassionate action. The rough ashlar of our character meets world's rough edges on through friction. Both are smoothed. This is initiation's fulfillment. Not receiving light, but becoming light for others. We become light, not through grand gestures, but through daily choices to see others fully. The teacher's patience illuminates students' potential. The nurse's presence eases fears, darkness. The engineer's foresight includes those society excludes. These are not Masonic acts because Masons perform them. They are Masonic acts because they embody square, compass, level made flesh. The symbol is not apron worn, but compassion enacted. The final initiation is not arrival, but commissioning. Not now you know secrets, but now you carry responsibility. The tools are not for personal advancement, but for world's repair. The square to straighten crooked places, the compass to circumscribe chaos with order, the level to affirm dignity where others see worthlessness. This is enlightenment's purpose, not private illumination, but public service. The initiate imagines, solitary ascent to wisdom. The master knows. Enlightenment is participation in ancient forest of human understanding. We do not invent truth. We receive it from ancestors, tend it in our time, pass it to descendants. The square we use was shaped by hands, long dust. The compass we follow was calibrated by seekers across millennia. We are not originators. We are links in unbroken chain of light bearers. These symbols predate all dogmas. The square's rectitude was truth before pyramids rose. The circle's wholeness was wisdom before alphabets formed. We did not invent these principles. We rediscover them again and again across millennia because they're written not in books, but in cosmos itself. To practice geometric virtue is to join ancient chorus-singing universe's native language. Humanity's wisdom traditions are not competing truths. They are dialects of single language geometry of right relationship. Different accents, same grammar. Different rituals, same pedagogy. The square appears as Mat S. Feather in Egypt, as Confucian rectitude in China, as Masonic honesty in Philadelphia, not because secret society engineered it, but because geometric truth is discoverable by any sincere seeker in any age. When we move beneath symbolic surface to experiential core, division dissolves into kinship. The light sought in cathedral, mosque, temple, lodge is Sami light. Different paths, up same mountain, different maps of same territory. Enlightenment is not possession of exclusive truth, but recognition of universal truth wearing cultural costume. The square measures all paths by same standard. Do they cultivate compassion? The compass circumscribes all maps within shared territory of human dignity. The rainbow teaches beauty emerges not after storm passes, but within storm's continuing reign. Enlightenment is not escape from suffering, but capacity to perceive beauty amid hardship. Not denial of shadow, but recognition that light and dark coexist in dynamic balance. The square ensures we acknowledge storm's reality. The compass circumscribes hope within present moment. The level affirms all stand beneath same rainbow. In crisis, all symbols vanish. Only human hands remain clearing rubble, distributing water, holding space for grief. This is brotherhood's ultimate expression. Not ritual perfection, but showing up when needed. The compass's circle expands to include all The square ensures aid distributed without favoritism. The level affirms equal dignity of helper and helped. No secret handshake, required open hands. The altar's true reflection is not architectural perfection, but human faces illuminated by our actions. The ritual's purpose is not self-improvement alone, but capacity building for service. We polish our tools, not for display, but for world's repair. The square straightens crooked places. The compass circumscribes chaos with compassion. The level affirms dignity where others see worthlessness. This is enlightenment's fulfillment. Light received. Light reflected. Light multiplied. The seeker imagines light exists somewhere beyond hidden chamber, secret doctrine, distant guru. The master knows. The light was never elsewhere. It burns within, waiting recognition. Ritual's purpose is not to bestow this light, but to polish the mirror until we see our own radiance. And in seeing it, we recognize it in others. This is compassion's geometry. Self-recognition becomes other recognition. The summit's gift is not vista alone, but shifted perspective carried back to valley. Enlightenment is not permanent residence on mountaintop, but capacity to see valley's beauty with summit eyes. To recognize geometric harmony in ordinary street, to perceive sacred in mundane. This is initiation's purpose, not escape from world, but transformed engagement with it. The light received on mountain becomes light carried into marketplace. The hoax's ultimate redemption is pedagogical. When taught as case study and discernment, it inoculates against modern misinformation, not by shaming past believers, but by building immunity through understanding deceptions, mechanics. This is enlightenment's practical expression, equipping next generation to navigate information ecosystem with square of verification, compass of emotional awareness, level of intellectual humility. Enlightenment lives not in grand declarations, but in daily choices for intellectual honesty, publishing data for scrutiny, correcting errors publicly, admitting bias when recognized, citing sources meticulously. These uncelebrated acts form civilization's actual architecture stronger than any monument, because built on square of truth. The compass circumscribes ego within commitment to accuracy. The level affirms all ideas deserve equal scrutiny regardless of source. Civilization is not built by grand conspiracies, but by quiet geometries of daily virtue. Each honest transaction strengthens social fabric. Each compassionate act reinforces communal bonds. Each courageous stand upholds justice. These microarchitectures accumulate and seen by historians, uncelebrated by Krauts until one day we awaken to find civilization standing. not by accident, but by accumulated geometry of countless square actions. This is hope's geometry. Light shared multiplies. The most powerful antidote to secret society, paranoia, is visible community. When citizens build together in daylight schools, parks, mutual aid networks, they enact alternative narrative. Not hidden control, but shared creation. Not elite conspiracy, but collective agency. This is Enlightenment's triumph. Not secret knowledge possessed by few, but practical wisdom practiced by many. The ritual concludes not with light contained within walls, but with light carried beyond them. Each brother departs, not as keeper of secrets, but as bearer of illumination. The lodge empties, the candles extinguish, but lanterns move through city streets, lighting paths for strangers, warming cold doorsteps, witnessing to dawn's inevitability. This is initiation's fulfillment, not receiving light, but becoming light. The work continues, not in candlelit chambers, but on rain-lit streets, not in secret signs, but in open hands. The geometry of virtue finds ultimate expression not in perfect ritual performance, but in imperfect, compassionate action. The rough ashlar of our character meets world's rough edges, and through friction, both are smoothed. This is the only secret worth keeping. That light shared multiplies. Light hoarded extinguishes. Dawn requires no victory over night. It's simply ariza. Darkness yields by nature's law, so too with truth. It needs no conspiracy to advance. It needs only witnesses willing to carry candles into shadowed places, and the courage to let those candles burn brightly enough to reveal what actually resides there. Not monsters, but fellow travelers. Not conspiracies, but shared longing for light. We return to where we began, not with answers to conspiracy, but with appreciation for light's quiet work. The shadows that once seemed to hide secrets now reveal only the play of illumination on honest stone. The buildings that once seemed to conceal mysteries now stand open to sky-inviting inspection, welcoming light. This is Enlightenment's true meaning, not possession of secret knowledge, but capacity to see ordinary reality with extraordinary clarity. The Mastermind was never Leo Taxil. It was our own hunger for drama over truth. And the unmasking was not his 1897 confession, but our willingness today to choose light. This whole witnessed not just hoax's exposure, but humanity's capacity for course correction. The same room that amplified deception later amplified truth. This is hope's geometry. Spaces are not permanently stained by falsehood, but available for redemption. Every chamber that is echoed with lies can later resonate with truth if we have courage to speak it. The ultimate initiation is not receiving light, but becoming light for others. And this light requires no secrecy, because it thrives in daylight. The horizon awaits not our arrival, but our recognition. We stand already within light only. Our perception requires adjustment. The tools have been provided. The path is open. The choice remains ours. To seek hidden chambers in shadow, or to build temples of character in daylight, to hoard light for ourselves, or to carry lanterns into night for others. This is not secret knowledge. It is ancient wisdom available to all who choose to see. The dawn is here. Will you meet it?